Hey guys, this new video is going to be obviously about procrastination. You can see the procrastination thing up, whoop, that way. I always mess that up over here. This is just your average procrastination cycle. Everyone's seen this before. We're going to go a little bit more in depth into it on some stuff that I've come across. This is a very important topic for me because I know it affects me the most. This is probably, as far as mental hacking goes, this is one of, if not the biggest issue that I've had breaking into the space, and I know that others have had breaking into the space. So I really want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it more in general, and then hit about it as far as breaking into hacking or cybersecurity at the end. But of course, procrastination, just like a lot of the other topics that'll come with the mental hacking stuff, will apply to anything you want in life: fitness, health, dieting, breaking into cybersecurity, learning a language, learning an instrument, whatever it may be, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is why a lot of people have huge goals, but only so few people will actually reach the huge goals, right? And there's a lot of different science and arguments behind that. But when it comes to procrastination, yes, procrastination, by definition, is putting something off until later and delaying a task, right? But there's been a lot of research done and a lot of studies done that have actually shown that what procrastination really is your mind's defense mechanism against your own ego or your own self-image or uncomfortability or fear of what would come next if you didn't procrastinate. Right? Now an example of that is, let's say you know that a task is going to be really difficult, right? That's a super easy example. You know it's going to be really difficult, or you know it's going to take a lot of time. So it's your mind protecting you from what is difficult, especially if you don't have to do the difficult thing. If it's not like a school assignment, or it's not something that's like a life or death thing that your mind doesn't think is a necessity, it's almost like your mind is protecting you from the hard thing by giving you excuses and letting you procrastinate and just not doing it. It's your mind's defense mechanism to combat stressful or uncomfortable situations. And that's why what I want to talk about is actually to beat procrastination. Everyone tells you just do the thing, just do the thing. And yes, of course, that's the super easy answer. Just do it, duh. But there's so much more to it than that, right? If the answer was just to do the thing, you would have done the thing already and we wouldn't be talking about it, right? So part of beating procrastination isn't just go out and take action. There's more to it, right? That can come before taking the action to make taking the action easier every day, right? We talked about in the last video that taking consistent action is a good thing. This is obviously stopping the consistent action to help you improve. So how do we help it, right? I have 4 quick things I want to run by you, and then hopefully it'll be a short and quick video, and you can not use this video to procrastinate whatever you're trying to do, right? So the first thing is similar to what we talked about last time, is you have to be able to allow yourself to improve and do the best you can. And how to do that, and some tips to do that, because obviously I'm not a super expert, but some tips that I use to do that is you have to stop. We talked about this in the last video, but you have to stop comparing yourself. Comparing yourself is literally poison. You can try and compare yourself to yourself yesterday, but even that is even dangerous with procrastination, right? Because that's what starts to make you feel guilty. Is, yesterday you had all this time, but you didn't do the thing, right? So with procrastination, you just have to let yourself take the action. You have to, that panic stage that's on the screen, you get to the feeling guilty stage, you get to the panic stage, you have to get rid of whatever is causing you to panic. You just have to sit down and do the thing, right? But whatever's causing you to panic, if you don't get to the panic stage, then you won't complete the cycle, right? And normally, there's 2 things that I find for a lot of people that I've talked to that struggle with it, and for me personally, there's 2 things, especially in cybersecurity, to work on. The first thing, and the biggest one, is expectations of yourself, right? If I do this thing, I either have to do it this well, or this fast, or this good. So this channel is about cybersecurity, right? And we talk about bug hunting and web security. Bug bounties, for instance. If I expect myself oh my gosh, if I sit down and hack, Like, what if I don't make any money? What if I don't find any bounties? Like, I'm just wasting time. So, like, I just won't, like, you just don't do it that day, and then you don't do it the next day, and you don't do it. But everyone knows, especially with hacking, it's very hands-on. If I don't do it, I'm never going to get any better. Same thing with an instrument. Like, I can sit on YouTube and watch 1,000 people play the piano, and, like, yes, maybe I'll learn some chords and what they look like on the piano and whatever. You can try and say you're learning. But at the end of the day, if I don't sit down and play the piano, but what if I expect myself to be, freaking Mozart when I sit down at the piano? Like, it doesn't make any sense, but that's how we think a lot of times. Is we expect ourselves like, oh, if I sit down, I have to do this so well, but I know it's going to be hard to do, and I know I might not meet that goal, so it's just easier. And again, it's a defense mechanism to just make an excuse and not do it, because then you're not letting yourself down, and you're not destroying your own expectations, right? Or the other thing that could be an expectation, maybe not, might be the quality of the action, but the time of the action. Like, I told myself that I was going to sit down and again with the piano, play the piano for 8 hours today. But you know that, oh my gosh, 8 hours, like that's my whole Saturday or my whole Sunday or whatever it is, right? So don't do that, right? Like, tell yourself, like, I'm going to sit down and play piano for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Like, I'm going to sit down after I eat my lunch or something like that, and before I get back to work or before I do this, that, I'm just going to sit down on a Saturday and I'm just going to play piano for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 minutes, like whatever it is. Or reading, like you're trying to read every day, but you feel, you're trying to tell yourself, I'm going to read 100 pages a day or a week or whatever. Instead, just be like, just start reading. Just read a page, read a word, right? Because that's more than nothing, and that's always what starts the momentum. We talked about that in the improvement video last time. It's the 1% changes. If you're going from 0 to 1 word, that's something, and 1 word to 2 words. But just sitting down and doing the thing and defeating your expectations of like, oh my gosh, if I sit down and do this thing, I have to do it for so long, or I have to do it so well. And that's how you get into the panic stage in the cycle, and you end up making excuses, right? On the flip side, the second thing that normally stops people and turns them into the panic thing is other people's expectations, right? What a spouse might think, what parents might think, expectations that you've put on yourself for people you don't even like on the other side of a computer screen, maybe, especially in cybersecurity land and Twitter and all that stuff. Like, I haven't posted any bounties. Like, I haven't put a video out, or I haven't tweeted, or I haven't contributed, or like I have to make this tool and I have to do this thing and I have to show everyone that I'm this, amazing bug hunter, or like I haven't done well in my business, so I have to put out something that shows that I'm doing well, or I have to like go do this. So instead you just put it off and put it off and put it off, and you make excuses because you don't want to put something out there that people might crap on, or people might look at or make fun of you or talk down on you or whatever, because you're giving other people power over you, right? No one's expectations really matter, right? Like, even your own mother, your wife, husband, like whatever, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's your life. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want for yourself, you have to go out and take the action, and you have to drop the other people's expectations on yourself, right? To beat procrastination. The number one, there's a bunch of different ways to beat procrastination on the action side, but that's really what it comes down to, is getting rid of the things that cause the panic, right? Because you don't feel guilty until after you actually procrastinate, right? And then it just starts over. And the excuses don't come until you panic. So, like, really, in my opinion, it all starts with the panic, right? That if you take out the panic, there's no reason to make excuses, which means there's no reason to procrastinate, which means there's no reason to feel guilty because you took action. If you take action, you won't feel guilty, right? Because you didn't procrastinate. If your goal is to read 100 pages a day and you change that goal to just, okay, I'm going to read today, and you read 10 pages, you read 10 pages more than yesterday. If you read 1 word, like, you read today, you had something today. And if you read 1 word and you're like, wow, like I should read 10 tomorrow, like, that's a good step to go forward, right? But it's little steps and not dropping back into the cycle and getting rid of the panic stage so you can take action. And one of the other things with beating procrastination, like I just said, is reading, like, let's say you read the 1 word and you're like, wow, I should read 100 pages tomorrow now. No. Because you're going to drop back into it. That's where you were before, right? The number one thing to beat procrastination is slow, patient action, right? That's what will get you there. Is take what you're procrastinating, get rid of the panic stage, and then chunk it into little actions that can slowly grow bigger. Just like we talked about in the improvement video, slow, patient, minute actions that you know are completable. There's a bunch of other stuff we'll talk about later with like building habits and habit stacking. And if you haven't read books like, books like Atomic Habits and stuff like that, I'd really highly recommend it. And that's some of the stuff I'm going to talk about and like try and relate to cybersecurity. But whatever it takes for you to take small action, whether it's, stacking it with something you normally do or doing it in very, very, very small increments so you can have it done in, 5 minutes, whatever it is, to break the cycle and then continue to break the cycle every day. That's the important thing, is continuously breaking the cycle until the cycle's not there anymore. And then you can grow exponentially on your actions, right? Now, when you talk about this in cybersecurity, a lot of people want to break into cybersecurity, whether it's bug bounties or on the corporate side or whatever it is, right? But it's daunting. It's very daunting, especially if you're younger, especially if you like have no experience or you come from a totally different field. There's people that have came from like not a software engineering background or not a web dev background trying to get into web hacking that are like, holy crap, like where do I even start? And like everyone just goes on Twitter and says like, well, all the resources are out there, like go get them, Tiger. But obviously that's a huge, huge, huge task to just say like, my goal is to break into cybersecurity. Like what does that mean? Like how exactly are you going to do that? Are you going to read? Are you going to watch videos? Are you going to do pen tester labs or hack the box or Portswigger? Are you going to go try and do bug bounties? How are you going to do bug bounties? How are you going to start? Are you going to do recon? I mean, it's endless. And it's so easy to see how in that situation you would panic, make excuses, and procrastinate and start the whole cycle over again. And then all of a sudden you've gone multiple days and you really haven't made any progress, right? The number one thing to do if you're having this issue, especially as it comes to cybersecurity, web hacking, and improving in, bug bounties or just web hacking or cybersecurity or, like I said, anything in general, but that's what this channel is about, is again, get rid of the panic stage. Don't worry about what you think yourself. Don't worry about the $10,000 bounties. Don't worry about the big job. Don't worry about interviews. If you want to read a book, read a book. If you want to do a Portswigger lab, do it for 5 minutes. Try one for 5 minutes. See what happens. Pop up Burp Suite, 5 minutes, right? If you're going to try and read one of the, web hacking book from No Starch Press or something like that, great. Read 10 pages a day, right? Break the cycle and make consistent, patient action and keep the aspects of your life, whether it be your expectations of yourself or what you think others have expected of you, eliminate that from the situation and try and take the panic part out of the cycle. And that's the number one way to break the cycle, in my opinion. Again, these are all my opinions. I'd love to hear you guys' feedback in the comments, and I'd love to talk to you guys on Twitter and stuff like that about this. Whenever. That's really all I have on this, guys. I really have kind of liked this series because, again, this is something that I care about a lot. Self-improvement, productivity, motivation, habits, that kind of thing is like actually a really big passion of mine. So I'll probably continue to talk about it on the channel and then talk about it in general and then try and relate it back to cybersecurity and breaking in and continuing to improve and stuff like that. But I hope you guys like the videos. If you do like it, like them, shoot me a comment. Again, hit me up on Twitter or Twitch, anything like that. Love to continue to talk to you guys about this and hear about your guys' thoughts on it. But that's all I have for this one, so peace.